It is time to expand minds through movies, TV, sports, and flicks. It is time to boldly go where no podcast has gone before. It is time for the Captain Talks Flicks.
The Captain Talk Flicks.
Welcome to the Captain Talks Flicks podcast. I'm your host, the Captain Cortez, aka Mr. Love, and this is where we talk flicks. I welcome the podcast where me, the Captain, talks about movies, TV, sports, flicks, anything you can see on the tube or a screen. I like to get out here and give my unique perspective, because after 47 years of being on planet Earth, I've developed a unique perspective about these movies, TV, sports, and flicks. And I'd like to get in there and tell about it. Because just maybe you care. And according to the stats, it looks like you do care. I want to give a big shout out to Hungry. Got some plays over at Hungry this past week. Gracias, gratitude, told her about. And Hungry, I heard about that drink in Hungary called Palinka. I heard they only make it there in, I think, Austria, and that's it. They don't make it anywhere else. This Palinka. So I'm going to have to try this out, whether I get it here in the United States of America or I fly to Hungary, to Budapest, and have some myself. Palinka is something I want to try out. So thanks for listening. Appreciate Cassie's gratitude. And just FYI, back in the day, I went to school to be a radio DJ, but never got a job. I think I never got a job because I just did not have the focus. If I would have had just a bit more focus, then maybe that would enable me to become a radio DJ. But it didn't, and it allowed me to become the greatest podcaster in the Matrix. Some to debate, might be true, might not be true, but I said it on the internet, so it's gotta be true, right? Because everything on the internet is facts, not facts, true, false, propaganda, fake news, the Matrix, water, bottled water, mineral water, fizzy water, water from a well, water from a spring. I don't know. I didn't make the internet. Ask the people that made the internet. So when you're online, just be worried, just watch out. Anyways, I could ramble all day, but I won't. Let's get right into the podcast. But first, a word from our sponsor. Ladies and gentlemen, do you like rap? Well, if you do, me and Sun Tzu Cosmic dropped a track called $1 Billion Brain last year. Motivated by the phrase $1 billion brain. What does it take to have $1 billion brain? Hear the song and hear our interpretation of what it takes to have $1 billion brain. So if you want to hear the track called $1 Billion Brain by me and Sun Tzu Cosmic, I'll put the link below. Check it out. Now, let's get on with the podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, I am back again. And it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. A beautiful day in the neighborhood. Won't you be my neighbor? It's very nice. It's very nice in this neighborhood. Very sunny. I got some new neighbors moving in down the street. There's like a family moving into this house down the street. Welcome to the neighborhood. It's a very nice, pleasant neighborhood. It's a pleasure to have you in the neighborhood of the Captain. It's a nice day to move too. It's sunny. So it's sunny outside. I've been eating hummus this week. Whole lot of hummus. Had lots of hummus. I had like hummus and pita bread. Hummus and some gyros. Like hummus every day this week. All types of hummus. I think I'm going to make hummus a regular thing. Now, this is not the first time I tried hummus. I've had hummus throughout the years, every now and then. But now it's time to up the level of hummus eating. Every week, grocery store, hummus getting bought. Because it's just so good, so delicious, and nutritious. So if you have not tried hummus, I highly recommend. Try it out. It's healthy, it tastes good, delicious. You can make a lot of things with hummus. So yeah, Captain's loving hummus. I should get my own hummus brand. Let's get a sponsorship on this podcast of hummus. I would do it in a minute because I love hummus. So anyways, yeah, the Captain loves hummus. Got some new neighbors. It's sunny outside. It's beautiful. And now it is time to podcast. Yeah, so now it is time to podcast. And this week, I'm going to talk about my most favorite thing, franchise, idea, IP in the galaxy, in the cosmos, in the multiverse, in all of existence. And I'm talking about the one and only Star Trek. Yeah, this week Star Trek Lower Decks dropped a new episode, and I'm going to talk about it. But before I get into that, a couple things. First of all, there will be spoilers. And second of all, I do own some shares in the parent company of Star Trek. I just want to be clear and transparent to let you know. Now that I've told you that, let's get into Star Trek Lower Decks. Something borrowed, something green. Ladies and gentlemen, Lower Decks, something borrowed, something green was absolutely fantastic. Every episode they've been dropping for the last 4 seasons, to me, was magnificent. They've been very entertaining, very fun, very comedic, poking fun at Star Trek at the same time paying homage to the classic episodes of Trek. It's a very fun experience. It's what Star Trek needed. They're doing a lot of comedy as of late. They got those animated short treks online, which are absolutely craziness. If you've not seen any of the animated short treks, they're madness. It's like madness, and I love it. It's cool that Star Trek is able to kind of poke fun at themselves. Don't take themselves too serious. Like, they're doing musicals. They got comedy. Like, they're very well-rounded ways of entertaining. And none of the other franchises are really doing it like that, right? I mean, we're doing it. I don't hear these other guys doing it. I do hear, though, now some of these other franchises now starting to do musicals. They're trying to copy us. We did it first, right? We boldly going where no other franchise has gone before. I love how they're doing it. We got the Section 31 movie coming up, which is probably, I'm assuming, some kind of spy Star Trek movie, is what I suspect, because Section 31 has gotten espionage. So we're going through all different genres with the Star Trek franchise. There's no limits. They got the Starfleet Academy coming up. Very cool. I'm loving it. Great time to be Trekkie. So anyways, yes, Lower Decks this week was absolutely fantastic. As usual, comedic, a lot of Easter eggs. Very cool. You can see the antics of the Cerritos doing their thing. And this week, Tendi got a comunicado. Say, Tendi, we need you to take leave and go back home because your sister is getting married. He's like, I don't really want to go. I'm good. I'll just stay here. And then the captain's like, no, just go. Go handle your business. Go do your thing. And so she's like, yes, I'm going to go home and go to this wedding. I'll go and see you later. Peace out. But Mariner's like, hey, can I come with you? And the Vulcan buddy, she's like, I'm going to go with you too. So after a little convincing, Tendi, Mariner, and the Vulcan lady is like, hey, we're going to Tendi's home world and see this wedding. And in the episode, we get to see Orion culture like we really haven't seen. I feel they've not really done a deep dive into Orion culture as much as maybe in this episode. I know there's been a little bit of a here and there. I think they did a little bit also in Discovery, but that's in the future. It was cool to see a little more backstory of the Orions. And I hope we see more. But anyways, we can see her go home and deal with all that. So very cool episode. But what I want to talk about is, what did the captain learn this week from this episode? Because every episode of Star Trek, it seems I'm learning lessons. I've been saying it over and over again for the last few years. And Star Trek is just telling me, showing me lessons for the captain to learn things. And so this week, what I learned from this episode, what I saw, what I observed, the way I interpreted it, or how it spoke to me, was that, we all work jobs. We all go to school. If you're not working a job now or not going to school, chances are you probably went to some type of school. Chances are you probably went to some type of job, most likely. And when you went to the school and when you went to the job, there was probably other people there. Maybe there was 5 people there. Maybe there was 10 people there. Maybe there was 100 people. Maybe there was 200. Maybe it was 300. Maybe it was 1,000. I don't know. But guaranteed, if you went to school, unless you were homeschooled, and went to a job, chances are there's probably more than you just there. And day in and day out for a period of time, most likely you were studying, learning at school with these other people, or you were working alongside with these other people for days upon days, right? And maybe you went from that job to another job or school to another school. But chances are, if you're a human being and you're not a kid, you probably have experienced these things. If you have not, then you may not understand. But I suspect a lot of the people that hear this podcast will say, yeah, bro, I did go to school. I did go to work. And I was around a lot of people for a long time. And someone got on my nerves. But anyways, as we do this, we get to know our colleagues. We get to know our classmates. We spend a lot of time, doing the job, doing the schoolwork, but also hanging out, talking, sharing ideas, sharing experiences. Just talking about different things. Get to know each other a little bit more. Just a little bit more. Just know each other a little bit more, right? But sometimes you take it out of those spaces. Sometimes as you develop relationships with these people in the school and work, you get to see what they do outside of the work, outside the classroom. In this episode of Lower Decks, we see that Tendi gets to share with Mariner and the Vulcan lady what her life was like prior to joining Starfleet, what her home life was like, what her family's like. They get to see all that, see how Tendi was. And it turns out Tendi was an assassin. That's what she did. But Mariner and the Vulcan officer didn't really know that, right? You know, what you do in your private life, when you're at home with your family, by yourself, whatever, outside of the workspace, outside of the classroom, sometimes they just don't know. Like, I'm going to be completely honest with you guys. I do this podcast, and some of my close buddies know about the podcast and the rapping and all that. But some people I've known for a while, it just hasn't came up, and I haven't shared it, right? This is what I do outside of different places I go to. And after it came up, shared it. But if we were to get together and hang out more outside of different areas other than where we have to be, and they would see that the captain does podcasts. Like, this is a side of the captain I didn't know existed. And this is what happens in Lower Decks. Tendi gets to show how she came up, what she's about, what her family's like. And we all experience that. And then when we do that, sometimes, like in the show, you may feel a little embarrassed, a little shame, because the place I come from is like this. And I'm kind of nervous or scared or fearful or embarrassed that you might not quite understand it. And maybe after you see where I came from or see what I do outside of the classroom, outside of the workspace, that you may judge me and you may not like me as much or like me at all anymore. I'm nervous, or we're nervous. Tendi was as well. Like, we don't want to show you that. Because then maybe you won't be my friend no more. Maybe you won't be my buddy no more. Maybe it'll make our relationship worse because you've seen who I am beyond just the workspace and beyond the classroom, right? Maybe. Have you experienced that? I mean, you might have. I suspect a lot of us have. Because most people I've talked to, most of the experience I've had in the world, I've had jobs, I went to school, and eventually being around those people, certain people in the school and the jobs, I will spend time outside of those places. And they get to learn about me. They learn, hey, Captain, you're a crazy man. It's like, bro, we can't hang with you no more. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're too crazy, bro. I'm sorry. I saw what you like outside of these spaces, and we got to go. Peace out. And if they're like that with you, then they really want your butt anyway. Because if they're really down with, they like the entire you. So once they see you outside of the workspace, the classroom, to know you a little bit better, right? And we shouldn't fear that, because Tendi was. And after Tendi showed Mariner and the Vulcan lady, her past, her family, like, Mariner and the Vulcan were like, we don't care. Who cares? We know you now. We know how you are now. We know you now. We love you now. We don't care you're assassin back today. It doesn't matter. And she was all worried, concerned, because Mariner and the Vulcan lady had her back no matter what. No matter what her past is like, we're cool. It's all good. We're still great buds, still friends. So, ladies and gentlemen, as you develop relationships with human beings in the classroom, in the workspace, eventually they may see behind the scenes. What do you like outside of those places? What's your family like? They're gonna see it eventually if you grow closer together, how you are outside of that. Don't be ashamed or nervous of that. Right? Be who you are. Be you. Be the authentic you. Be yourself. Just be you. And if people like you for that, it's good. If they don't, whatever. They're not your people, bro. You just gotta be you fully, your entire self. So, ladies and gentlemen, there's always lessons in Star Trek, and that's what I saw this week, at least to me. Maybe you've seen it and saw something entirely different, or maybe you've seen it and said, bro, I don't see that. But this is what I saw. And I've been watching Star Trek over all these years, so they brought it back. I've just been seeing a whole bunch of wisdom, lessons, and ways to live life, to improve our life through Trek. That's why I love Trek so much. So, ladies and gentlemen, be entertained, watch Lower Decks, have some fun, learn some lessons. Beautiful show. Star Trek is back. Star Trek is absolutely wonderful. So yeah, check it out. Highly recommend it. And this concludes the podcast. And until next time, we'll see you. I hated every minute of training, but I said don't quit. Suffer now and live the rest of your life a champion. Muhammad Ali. Until next time, it's Captain Peace.
The Captain Talks Flicks.